Hi, it's Lori from Coast to Coast Craft Girls coming to you from the West Coast. We're here for another monthly challenge. Joined by two of my crafty friends, and I'm going to let Betsy introduce our challenge because she defined it this month. So, Betsy, why don't you tell us what we had to do?
Well, I decided we were going to do, I think it has different names to it, but I'm calling it the 3-layer stamping. And this was my card, and the 3 layers is you put all 3 layers down in the way that you want to stamp them, and then you just randomly stamp, and then you're going to add them in the same order that you have them to make this card. So here's my card that I made.
I love that.
That is gorgeous.
I like it because it has a little different orientation. Instead of laying it flat like this, it's going up.
Yeah, I like that a lot. It makes a big difference. It really adds to the card. Love it.
Thank you.
Yes. Why don't you show us what you've done? I can't wait to see it.
So,
Ooh, look at that.
Wow.
Wow.
That's so pretty. Love it.
Love, love, love.
yeah, it is so cute, and I actually really had so much fun doing that this morning because I made the background and everything with inks, and I just kind of got really into it. And I'm so glad that I managed to figure out the layers without making a mess of it.
Yeah, it was a fun challenge. I have to admit, I've done some of this style before, but I decided to take a little bit different tact on it. So this is my card.
Oh, I absolutely love that.
And
love.
That is gorgeous.
So yeah, I used the technique of kind of half the layer and then getting smaller, and I don't know, I just really kind of had fun trying honestly a bunch of different ways of very similar techniques. And so anyway, it was a lot of fun.
On that, it's so gorgeous.
You made your background, right? You inked up your background.
Yeah, it's an ink blended background, and then these are some stamps, 3 different stamps from Inkylicious. So yeah,
love it.
Really fun.
Love it.
Yes.
Well, thank you for defining the challenge this month, Betsy. I think we all had a lot of fun with that, and I think Gaz, it's your turn next month. But so you get to decide. All right. So thanks for tuning in, and stay tuned, and you'll get to see short videos of how we created each of our 3 cards. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.
Hi, this is Betsy coming to you from the Gulf Coast, and for our July challenge, we did a triple stamp technique, and here's the card that I made. I love it. I think it turned out really pretty. And here are the supplies that I used to make it. First, I used Stampin' Up. I used the Spotlight on Nature, and I also, for the sentiment, I used the Good Morning Magnolia. I used Memento ink because we're coloring with our alcohol markers. And for the, for the butterfly, I used the Light and the Dark Fresh Frieza. For the flowers, I used the Light and the Dark Bubble Bath. And for all the leaves, I used the Light and the Dark Granny Apple Smith. I used my Dottie tape. I used some foam tape to pop up the final layer. I have black cardstock. I have white cardstock. And I just have a little bit of my bling. So let's get started. Okay, so we're first going to start with our piece of cardstock. And this particular piece of cardstock, it's that Fresh Frieza, and it is 5 3/4 by 8, scored in half at 4 to make our card base. And I've already cut and I've colored the butterfly that I'm going to put inside. So let's just go ahead and attach this. And there we go. So now we're going to do the front with the triple stamping technique. It may be called something different, but that's what I know it is being called. So the first thing you need, let's go ahead and do our white pieces of paper. So what I need a 5 1/4 by 5 1/4 by 3 1/2 for this piece. I need 4 1/4 by 2 1/4 for the second piece, and the third piece is 2 3/4 by 1 3/4. And I'm going to attach them together with just some of my Dottie tape. You don't want a lot of tape on it, but you need something to make sure that it stays. So let me just put a little bit at either side. And now I'm just going to line it up so that it's pretty even. It doesn't have to be perfect, but at least make sure it's straight. Now I'm going to do the same thing with the other layer. Just going to put a little bit of dotty tape on either the top and the bottom so that it stays in place. And I'm just going to roughly eyeball it and try to make it as straight as, oops, I'm sorry, it's going to go this way. I keep forgetting which technique I'm using. So we're going to put this one sideways. There we go. So now this is how it's going to sit on the card, like this. So now we're going to stamp. So let me get a piece of paper out so I don't make a huge mess on my desk. So let's do the sentiment first. And I probably should have done the sentiment before I attached it, but that's okay. For this particular card, I just want to do a hello. Perfect. All right, now I can add the flowers, and you're just going to want to stamp it offset. Do this so it doesn't get in the way. The first one, you want to make sure that you're covering all 3 layers as much as possible because that's what gives it the most bang. Okay, I'm going to turn it this way, and I'm going to press down. Boom, so I have my first one. It looks good, it's perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and add my butterfly now so that I know where I want to put the rest of my flower and not have anything overlapping. So let's put the butterfly right, make sure he's turned the right way. Put the butterfly right here. I've done that before where I've stamped something upside down. It happens. Your crafty friends will still love it, or your non-crafty friends will still love it. Okay, so now I'm just going to place, you're just going to do some random stamping. That's all you're going to do. Now, you don't take it apart until you color it. You leave it like this, and then you're going to color it. Now, the colors, again, that I use for the flower, I use the Stampin' Up! Blends Bubble Bath. For the butterfly, I use the Stampin' Up! Fresh Frieza Light and Dark. And then for all the leaves, I use the Granny Smith Apple. Now, I've already made one, and I pre-colored it because I didn't think you'd want to watch me sit there and color. So through the magic of tape, here's the one that I finished that I have colored. So now I can take it apart. Let me move this. Now I'm going to take it apart gently. I mean, you're still going to cover this up, so if you tear it, it's okay. But you want to make sure you keep it in the right location. So now I've got 3 pieces of black paper. The largest one is 5.5 by 3 3/4. The next size is 4.5 by 2.5. And the last one is 3 by 2. So now I'm going to attach these to my colored paper. Okay, so now everything's dry. So now I'm going to get my base, and I'm going to put the first layer down. Now we're going to take our second layer. So now what you're going to do is you're going to want to fix it so that this part is going to go right into that flower. You know, you can also look at the stem right here to line that up. So you're just going to line up the flower so that it's sometimes it just takes, you have to move it around a little bit. There we go. So I'm looking at this line right here. So I believe, nope, that is not right. That's the beauty of the Color Glue. You can just play around with it until you get it right. There we go. All right, now the last layer I'm going to pop up with some foam tape. Now, since it's going this direction, you just want to line it up with this . There we go, then you press it down. Now I'm just adding one little piece of bling. And there we go. There's our triple stamp card. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.
So I got a 5 by 6.5 inch card base. Then I've got a piece of watercolor card that is 4 3/4 by 6¼ and I've just got some black that's gonna go on it. I cut a circle out of masking paper just with a punch, and that's gonna be my sun setting. But I'm gonna cut my my square out, because that's gonna go on the card, and it's gonna go right on the side. So I gotta decide, you know, my square is gonna go here. So I'm gonna kind of put that, it's gonna be about right there. So then I want my sun to be in that square. So we're gonna just kind of put it right there. I'm gonna use a piece of scrap card to just kind of create a little bit of a horizon line. And I'm gonna put my blue underneath it, because I want it to look sort of like water. Put about an inch, and I'm just gonna hang on to it. And that's with Midnight. Now I'm gonna start from the horizon line up. So we're gonna start with sort of the pale yellow, which is straw bale. Then we're gonna go into honey pot, which is a more goldy kind of a color. Then I've got some orange. And finally, I've got Chinese red. I'm going to come back to my Midnight and blend just a little bit of Midnight lightly across the top and down this side, just to sort of darken the edges where this, because the sun's more over here. So I'm going to darken that side just a little bit. Now I'm going to peel my mask off. And that sun is way too white. So we're just going to take the light yellow and blend in. Now that looks better. Now I'm going to do some stamping. And I've got some stamps from Inkylicious. I've got this, it's called Windswept stamp set, and it's got these grasses and some birds. I'm going to start with those. And my grasses are going to go right down here in the bottom, coming just off the edge. I'm going to stamp those in some VersaFine black. Then I've got some birds. They're going to be flying, some across the sun and some not. Then I feel like this side needs a little bit more. This actually is going to get cut off, so I don't care too much about that. But I feel like it needs a little bit more. So I've got this other tree stamp from Inkylicious. But I don't want to put a tree in. I just want the branches. So I'm going to put it this way, because I just want the branches kind of coming out into, as if the tree was growing out over that water. And see how you get the sense of a tree being off to the side. So you can use your stamps in ways that are not necessarily the way they were made necessarily to be used, but because this is obviously a full tree that's meant to be stamped like, you know, like that, but you don't have to use it that way. And it gives me just the look of that branch coming out over the reeds, which is exactly what I want. I just wanted something in that corner. And now I'm going to cut this twice. So I'm going to cut first, I'm going to cut my square out, and that's going to give me my first. And this is just a square nesting die. And I'm going to kind of get it even, and it's right on that edge. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the square. Oh, and this square is 3 inches. Okay, so there's my square. Leave that on. Now I've got another square, which is 4 inches, and I'm going to cut a piece out of that. So I want about an even amount there and there, and here and here, and that looks about right. Okay. Now I know this is looking a little weird, but bear with me. Now I'm going to get my paper trimmer out. So if you think about it, I've got my square. I want to cut this back a little bit. So my square's in here. So if that's a 3-inch square, okay, right there. So I want to cut from this edge back about 1.5 inches. Okay, so 1.5 inches. So there's my pieces. Okay, now this is going to go in here, and I want to do the same thing with this piece. So I want to cut back, and this time I'm going to measure from the other direction. So I want it about 2.5 inches from this edge. Okay, so let's go 2.5 inches. Now, when I put this together, and then I'm just going to mat these on black, and it's going to look like that. Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't actually need to cut that out because it's going to be behind the other piece of card anyway. So this is going to go on here. Then I'm going to put that one on there, and I'm going to put it on with some dimension, and then that's going to go on there just like that. Okay, and then I'm going to stamp a sentiment on here before I put that together. And we're all done.
Hello everybody and welcome to my part of the video. Big thank you to Laurie and Betsy for asking me to join them again in doing this card challenge. So this month was a stamp challenge which was set out by Betsy, and I decided that I was going to make my background paper from scratch. So I actually used vintage photo and tea dye to make my background with the ink splodging and blending. And for the stamps that I will be using, I stamped those out using ground espresso in the Distress ink, just to mix it up a little bit with the oxides. The stamp set that I actually used was a Latte Love from Stampin' Up, so you'll see me come in with those just shortly. And I actually had a lot of fun making this one, guys. It's something that's a little bit out of my comfort zone, something I've not really ever done before, but yeah, it was actually a lot of fun, and getting it all to line up was quite good as well, and trying to figure out the nesting dies as well. So because I made it all from one sheet. Some people do use just like 3 sheets and then cut them down and mat them, layer them. I just thought I'd give it a go and see if it would work, and it did. So this card turned out really well. It's a nice little one to have in my stash to be able to give to somebody, and I will leave it here at this point, and again say a massive thank you to Laurie and Betsy. I hope you all enjoy everybody's cards from this challenge, and I hope you have a great day. Happy crafting!